WFIN News Director Doug Jenkins at the Findlay City Schools Administration building today, starting my tour of schools around the area, talking about some of the levies that you'll see on the ballot here in just 6 days on Election Day. We start with Ed Kirk with Findlay City Schools. Ed, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for being here.
Of course, you have one of the more unique levies on the ballot, a safety and security levy. Give us the ins and outs of what you're looking for as a district here.
Well, the district had a big community meeting in March. We listened to people's concerns. We started an in-district committee to look at our safety and security. From that committee, we came up with a proposed budget and 3 areas to look at in safety personnel, mental health services, and safety and surveillance equipment and training. And inside those 3 areas, we put a proposed budget together. The board put together figures, and we're going after a 1.5 mil 5-year levy. That levy will generate about $1.227 million, and it will cost a $100,000 homeowner about $5,250 additional in taxes for the year. What we're going to do with that levy is we're going to report annually where that money was spent, where it went into those categories, and it will stay in those categories, that money.
All right. If you have questions about the levy, feel free to ask those in the comments section here on Facebook. One of the big questions we have seen over this, and I think it's been addressed a few times, is what happens to the money that was already going towards security already in the budget?
Well, that money's there, and we've actually been in operational deficit, and we've made some cuts. We have not cut in security because it's a focus of the Board of Education, but it is putting a strain on our other budget areas. This will stabilize that, but the majority of this levy goes towards additional security personnel, additional mental health, and then the additional surveillance and safety equipment training.
I think the mental health aspect could be one of the more interesting parts of it, because we hear a lot about mental health when it comes to safety and security in schools, but not typically how do we address those issues. So how would this money go toward addressing that?
Well, right now we've already expanded some of our counseling services and stepped forward for kids and the things that they're facing. But our counselors are stretched. School counselors are stretched so much in the areas of testing, college placement, all those things, and then getting to the actual mental health and those other things, it's next to impossible. So we're kind of shorthanded. This would add to that ability. And the other thing that we want is someone inside the district really managing those kids that are facing those mental health issues. And beyond that, we have actual school personnel that are in the classroom with students that have those kind of issues.
How do you go about, these are delicate situations to handle, so how do you go about identifying kids who might be in crisis, getting them in touch with mental health personnel, and then, of course, the parents have to be in the loop, too?
Well, basically it's a teaming effort with the parents, with the student, with us, and with the outside agencies. And that time that it takes to do that and coordinate that and really get those services to kids is so essential. And I will say that our foundation is science, social studies, language arts, and mathematics. Getting a student having those issues or having other issues outside or trauma that's really affecting their lives, it's hard to get them to even those core areas to be able to educate them. We see that the mental health thing of the 3 categories is the most, and that's why most of the money, the most amount of money is going into mental health.
There's been discussion, too, about having school resource officers versus security personnel. What is the difference, and what is the better option, in your opinion, there?
The better option, we like both options because it's protection, but the resource officers, in my experience in the districts I've been in, the actual uniformed, real officer is a school resource officer. Security is trained personnel that are trained to be security in the school. It's a little bit different. The resource officer can work on crime prevention and things like that in the school, work with the teachers, the administrators, the students, and in every situation I've been in every district, they've had a great rapport with the students, staff, and it's just been a really positive thing.
All right, so there is the issue of funding then from the city. There's been discussion on the city part, and you can give us the latest on where the city stands on this.
Yeah, and we work with the city on the budget to add those resource officers, the SROs. It would be a 50-50 split between the city and the district. There's about 178 student days in the school year. Beyond that, they would be officers out helping patrol, helping do things in the district. And even when they're in school, if everything's running well in the school and something happens in that neighborhood with the logistics of where our elementary schools and our middle school and high school is, we would have the city covered so that there'd be additional help right there in that neighborhood. So that's a huge advantage to us. It's a huge advantage to the city to be able to partner and split that budget and get those extra officers in the city. So I think it makes the district stronger, and it makes the city stronger too.
So that's what it looks like should the levy pass. Should the levy fail next week, what does the state of security and mental health services in the district look like?
Well, we're public school, so we have to do what the community wants us to do. And if the voice of the community says just don't add, don't do extra, we're going to do our best to continue doing what we're doing. We do have procedures, policies. All districts have to turn into Homeland Security a safety plan for every building. So we'll continue to do our trainings and everything we do to keep our schools as safe as we possibly can.
Okay, if people want to find out more information about the levy or if they have questions, what are the ways to get in touch?
There's a Facebook page. It's Citizens for Findlay City Schools. There's tons of information on that site, different videos and whatnot. And then if they want to, they can call or email me at the office. If I can't get to them, Mr. Roth or another administrator will get back to them. But I think I've been pretty responsive to people's questions as they've either called in or emailed in questions that they have regarding the levy.
All right, so there you have it, information about the Findlay security levy that you'll see on the ballot on Tuesday, or now if you're doing early voting. I'll be heading from Findlay over to Van Loo and then also to Van Buren to talk about their renewal levy, so stay tuned to our Facebook page. We'll have the details on those coming up, and thank you for tuning in.